Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Taft City Council Successor Agency Joint Regular Meeting Agenda for Tuesday, September the 5th, 2017. As a courtesy to all, please take this moment to silence your cell phones so that we don't get disturbed during the course of the meeting. Any writings or documents provided to a majority of the City Council regarding any item on this agenda are made available for public inspection in the lobby at Taft City Hall, 209 East Kern Street, Taft, California, during normal business hours as of Senate Bill 343. We're going to begin this evening's meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, led by myself, followed by the invocation, led by Rodney Wyckoff of the West Hills Church of the Nazarene. If you would join us, please. Remove your hats. Thank you. Salute and pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray together. Father in heaven, we do thank you for this day as we come and gather for the business of Taft. We thank you for this city that we're able to live in and the people in it. Thank you for our our council members, and we thank you for their diligent work and decisions that they make on behalf of our city. Our thoughts and prayers are with those in the areas hit by the Hurricane Harvey. Pray for your help. We also are thinking of those in the path of Hurricane Irma and the potential of what could happen with that, and we offer our prayers in their behalf as well, Lord, and ask that you would be with each and every one. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
Madam Clerk, may we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Mayor Knorr.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Hill. Here. Councilmember Bryant.
Here.
Councilmember Cryer.
Here.
Councilmember Miller.
Here. Here.
All right. First item on this evening's agenda. Public hearing, termination of property assessed clean energy PACE programs. City Manager Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. The City of Taft currently has adopted resolutions allowing for several property assessed clean energy PACE programs to be offered within the city. On August 15, 2017, a public hearing was held to hear from proponents and opponents of the PACE program due to concerns surrounding the use of these types of programs by our local citizens. Direction was given to staff after the first public hearing to bring it back, an action item that would terminate the PACE program in the city. Below is the consideration for resolutions to possibly terminate the program.
Thank you very much, City Manager Jones. The recommendation is to conduct a public hearing, so I am going to open a public hearing on this matter. First, I'm going to entertain anybody wishing to speak in opposition of this matter. If you have signed up, I have, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 individuals wishing to address the council. So if any of you 7 who have signed up are in opposition of this program, step forward. When you get to the mic, I need you to please give us your name and address for the record.
Sure. My name is Kim Schaefer. My address is 224 Monte Vista Drive, Bakersfield, California, 93305.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Knorr and council members. Thank you for this opportunity to provide some information to you. I am here on behalf of the Bakersfield Association of Realtors, and I'm not sure if you are aware, but our association and our 2,000 members serve this area. Our multiple listing service also serves this area. Our members would be responsible for most real estate transactions that you would have within the city of Taft. So we're here tonight to ask you to rescind the PACE program here with the resolutions that you have in your agenda packet. I wanted to clear up a few inaccuracies before I get into the meat of my comments. The Bakersfield Association of Realtors, the California Association of Realtors, and the National Association of Realtors, we have not committed valuable time, energy, and resources to fight against PACE. And we do believe in energy upgrades. We're not fighting against this because we don't want to learn something new or that we don't like green energy. We're not opposed to any new home improvements or energy upgrades. We actually love new roofs, pools, paint, and windows. That makes our jobs easier. And these are the claims that have been made against us, but they just don't make sense. We're also not here to bash any particular company, whether that's Hero, Y-Green, Renew Financial. We don't have anything bad to say about our local contractors that have been benefiting from the PACE program. We're here for the exact same reason that we were here when we started these conversations with the County of Kern, the City of Bakersfield, and many other municipalities almost a year ago. Property assessed clean energy, known as PACE, is a deeply flawed public policy. We believe that it was originally a really good idea, but it's gone tragically bad. Our housing market is being impacted. You're going to hear a lot of opposing comments from the other side, but I will tell you that this is. But you won't hear them talk about anyone that's been able to refinance their home or mention, a good sell. PACE may be an option, but if you are to exercise it, it robs you of the opportunity, like I said, to refinance or to sell your property or possibly even keep your home. So how do we address these flaws? It's important for us all to understand that we can't do it here at the city or county level. This is not something that your council can fix. This happened at the state and federal levels through legislation, and that is where the correction must take place. So for the Association of Realtors at the local, state, and national levels to be able to embrace this program, and if you are to rescind it, and if it should come back before you at a later date, here are some of the things that we would like to see. We'd like to see an outside government oversight agency implemented, and one that we don't have to fund locally. We need an agency that ensures that there is an oversight, and this is a system that currently has none. If folks have a problem, there is nowhere for them to go. A lot of times I'm taking these calls and referring them to the district attorney's office for elder abuse, all kinds of things like that. There's no agency that can deal with bad contractors other than basically the district attorney's office, which is too deep. So the agency must ensure that PACE financing and its benefits are represented correctly and not fraudulently. There needs to be an agency that is watching for price gouging, inflated interest rates, and penalties. Contractors currently have the ability to greatly inflate the cost of an improvement. We see a lot of misrepresentations of the benefits of PACE. Dishonest contractors that have the freedom through the system to take advantage of the homeowners, whether it be for charging for upgrades like a $16,000 for an AC system that should have cost $6,000. We also want to see third-party neutral valuation so that when an appraisal comes in, it would allow for impartial verification of the established value by a reliable source, that it has no vested interest in the outcome of the appraisal or any financial interest in the actual value. So that when a property is going to be encumbered up to 100% of its value, there is no margin for error. If you have a flaw on either side of 5 to 10% from a valuated system, a negative equity position has then been created for that homeowner. We also believe that it is important that homeowners be qualified instead of the loan being based solely on equity. Qualification and ability to pay should be based on review of income, debt, current financial situation, and proof that they have the ability to repay the increased mortgage payments. And here's the last one. And this is absolutely non-negotiable for us. These liens can no longer be a super lien and needs to come off of the tax rolls. It should be subordinate to any present mortgages and any liens already on the property. Our tax rolls must be sanctioned for assessments that apply only to the public good, the things that we can all agree on, such as essential services like water, trash, not collection for corporations or for individual home improvements. That's not what our tax collector should be doing. We also don't believe, again, that the tax collector should be a loan servicer or a debt collector when these liens go bad. Government should have no role here. This is a very complicated policy. and it's taken me a very long time to be able to understand it. I'm sure that you all have been doing your research, and I'm sure it's been complicated. We hear a lot of this, it's the homeowner's decision, buyer beware. It's too complicated to do in an hour with a contractor, someone that has no experience in lending. And this should have greater regulation, and it could be fixed, down the road, but someone's going to have to make these fixes at the state and federal level.
Okay, Kim, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I actually gave you 6 minutes.
Okay, sorry.
So in order to be fair to everybody, typically it's 5 minutes. Everybody gets 5 minutes. So let everybody know I'm going to give you all 6.
Okay,
So-
I'll wrap up. Lastly, I have letters from both Jordan Kaufman from the Recorder's Office. Just so you know, there are 59 properties within Kern County that were delinquent at the time that they received the PACE loan, so they were already behind on their taxes at the time. And then I'm also going to give you John Lifquist's position, also opposing. And I have a packet of all kinds of other documents.
Okay, any materials, if you would please give them to the city clerk. The clerk will see to it that we all get a copy of it. Thank you very much. All right, next up, do I have somebody else wishing to speak in opposition? Mr. Turnipseed, if you would identify yourself for the record.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Michael Turnipseed representing the Kern County Taxpayers Association. And in the interest of time saving, because she covered 90% of it, I think the three most important things are for us is that these loans were based on land values only and not the ability to pay. So if you have the ability to pay, you're not going to have a problem. If you have money in the bank, if you have income, you don't get laid off, you don't get sick or a family emergency, it works fine. But if you have an emergency, if you're doing this loan because you can't get a loan anywhere else, that's really where the problem is. And the fact that people then go, and because it's on your property taxes, put it on their loan, just like their insurance and their other property taxes. So if you come to the day when you true up your balance in your account that pays that, and you see an extra $3,000 there because that loan's been being paid for 10 or 11 months before your true up period, and you don't have the $3,000, you go into foreclosure with the bank, and in 90 days you can be out of your house. If they did it on their tax bill, and they don't tell the customers this, don't put it in with your home loan. If you keep it on your property tax, you've got 5 years to pay your property taxes. Now, there's interest and penalties, but they're not going to foreclose on you for 5 years. So hopefully, if you have an emergency, that should have been part of this. If you have questionable income and you have a questionable event, you better not have it in your impound account, because you will pay the price, and that's what's happened. And of all places of California, where we have more consumer protections than anywhere in the free world, there are virtually none in the PACE program, and that's really the sad part about this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Mom.
I hope I used more than 3 minutes.
Oh, you did very well.
Hi,
Hello.
my name is Midge Jimerson. Do I need to give an address?
Yes, ma'am, for the record.
Okay, 326 Chester Avenue, Bakersfield, California. I am a broker, co-owner of Boydston Realty Company, and I'm also the 2017 president of the Bakersfield Association of Realtors. And I serve more than 2,000 realtors in Bakersfield that are part of our membership. And a lot of those realtors serve not only in Bakersfield, but they serve throughout Kern County, because I myself have sold property in Taft. So we're here because we want to help your community as well as our community, because it affects us all. So when we got into the PACE program, we all thought it was a good idea, right? Well, it's turned out to be a very bad program for us. And it's not that realtors are against job creation. They're not against solar. What they're against is hurting the consumer. And they're against hurting the community. And when this wonderful package that was supposed to look so good came into creation, and it became a super lien and started attaching to the tax bill, it started to create a problem. People's payments went up, things they were not expecting. Dollar figures, just like Mike Turnipseed was mentioning. it has been very detrimental. As a broker, I've heard the stories. Firsthand, I've heard the stories. I have friends, and I've heard a realtor, and they were told at the time that they had the valuation, and they were told at the time it could be a refinance. And if it's an FHA loan, FHA won't touch it. I'm not a lender. I can't speak to that. I can just tell you that this program has been very detrimental. It's a federal program that needs to go back, and the government needs to fix it. We cannot fix this program. All the things that Kim Schaefer laid out that need to be corrected, those are all the things that need to be corrected. We're for solar. We are for job creation, but we are not for hurting our community, and we are not for hurting our consumers. So if we can find something that is good for the community and creates jobs, we will be the first ones there at the gate to support it. But this is not the program. And that's why when we went to our city council and our board of supervisors, they have now decided to rescind this program right now until it can come back in a different form. So I thank you for your time today. I'm trying not to take up the 6 minutes, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much for coming and talking with us. Okay, does that conclude anybody and everybody on my list who is going to speak in opposition? All right, then. Let's go ahead and get started with George, and you're going to have to help me with your last name. Please, sir, I don't want to butcher it.
I'll say for the record.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. George Apostolopoulos.
George Apostolopoulos.
3581 Young Avenue, Napa, California.
All right. Thank you, George.
Thank you. I'm here this evening I'm here representing Wide Green Works PACE program, which is administered by Wide Green Energy Fund. And we actually are in partnership with a public agency that does have oversight over our PACE program, which is the Golden State Finance Authority, formerly known as on the resolutions there, on the agenda as the California Home Finance Authority. So just wanted to clear that up. It's just a DBA name change that we had recently. But there's a couple of things I wanted to kind of clear the air here. There's a lot of hearsay. PACE does this, PACE does that. I think in the forefront of my this presentation here to you guys, I think it's also important for me to let you guys know that I think it would be advantageous to everybody if we actually sat down, maybe taking this to a committee level, giving staff all the information they need based on the facts, not on hearsay, and then move forward at maybe another meeting down the road so that you guys have all the information you need in regards to the PACE program. So I just wanted to get that out there right away. And speaking to that, PACE is actually working very, very well. Across the state, with our program, there's over 250 jurisdictions that have adopted our PACE program, which has created 9,500 plus or 9,500 plus jobs, a $1.6 billion economic stimulus to the economy, all without taxpayer dollars. It's all privately funded. And when you look at how PACE is structured from a consumer protection standpoint, we need to start from the very beginning. Assembly Bill 811 by statute, Senate Bill 555 by state statute. It's not a federal program. This is a state statute-based program. And so you have the consumer protections through statute. Secondly, through the California Treasurer's Office that vets the PACE programs. Thirdly, by the agencies. We are in partnership with a public agency, Golden State Finance Authority, which is made up of 33 member counties that have oversight over all the projects that come in to make sure that we're abiding by all the laws through consumer protections and through by statute, et cetera. And so when you have this level of consumer protections, you don't have it in the banking industry. Banking industry is a bunch of regulations. You don't have public agencies without oversight. We have a contractor compliance department in our program and the other programs. With every contract that comes through, we have pricing protections that are in place. If you've got an HVAC system or solar system, we know what that price is. Now, those contracts get reviewed, and if they're not abiding by the rules, then we actually call the contractor up and the proper owner to find out, what's going on with this price, for example. So all that stuff's in place, and it has been in place to protect the consumers. And so when you guys are thinking about how PACE works, for the last 5 years or so, not only with our program but the PACE industry as a whole, the facts are there. I guess my point is, let's look at all the facts and not look at all the hearsay of what's going on, so that you guys can make that educated decision on what PACE is. Councilmember Creer, in the last meeting that we had here, you were mentioning interest rates of 12 to 18%, and a lot of times that gets confused with solar leases. So PACE does not charge 12 to 18%. A lot of the PACE interest rates are very similar to those of HELOCs, and in some areas they're lower and with other providers. The fact that it's on first position is one of the fundamental mechanics of PACE in general here in California, and it's a good public policy, because if my neighbors down the street are improving their properties and they're using less energy and water, how does that not benefit me? And if more people are doing that, how does that not benefit the entire community? So with that, I'll leave it to everybody else. Hope you guys take into consideration what I've said, and also take into consideration taking this to a committee meeting, so that we can sit down as stakeholders and look at all the facts. So I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Before you go, have you provided any documentation supporting your position and the things you're talking about to the city clerk?
We sent you an email about a week ago or so, and we have further information.
That's
too.
part of what we have here.
Yeah.
You say you have further information beyond what you provided us?
Yeah, whatever information you guys need, there's plenty of it available. So just depending on what kind of questions we can have when we have some sort of sit down. Okay?
All right.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. All right. Next up, Dustin.
Dustin Rylick, Director of Market Development for the California Hero Program through Renovate America. I sent some pretty comprehensive emails to each one of you going over some of the facts of how the Hero Program works, and also some of the different results that we've had over time. It was unfortunate that there was a memo from one of your homeowners that was in your previous packet about how they were having trouble refinancing, and I was able to give you information in that email and give you all the details that she actually refinanced her home and didn't have any problems. The home was completely paid off in full in June. So I also wanted to share this packet with you. If I can approach the clerk. Packet for each one of them.
Very good. Thank you.
Inside that packet, there are actual homeowner letters. So there are some letters from your local homeowners here. There's only been 47 projects through the Hero Program here in the city of Taft. So unfortunately, that's not a huge sample, but we did reach out to homeowners that have used the Hero Program via email or calling them to just ask them if they would be in support. As you see, there's 7 or 8 homeowners that said, yes, please put my name on a support letter. And 3 of your homeowners actually took the time to write letters to you, and those are included in that packet, about how they're very happy that they were able to use this as an option for themselves. Our rates, as I said in my email to you, start at 2.99%. So I know that previously your city manager had made some comments about the fact that it's a predatory program. I think those are just words that are being taken out of the Bakersfield Californian. I think those are words that are being taken out of realtors' mouths. This is not a predatory program. This is an option for your constituents. When a contractor, which you'll see contractors stand today before you, comes and actually does a presentation for an HVAC upgrade or door and window upgrade at the homeowner's house, they are selling a product. That's what they're selling. And they sell it for the same price, whether it's cash or whether it's financed or whatever that might be. And when the end of the sale comes up is when financing comes up. It's either cash, or do you want to pay for it with a check? Do you have a HELOC that's available? Do you want to go ahead and utilize some other type of financing? The HERO program is an available option to your constituents, and we've had lots of people that have applied. Over 100 people have applied, but only 47 people have actually utilized the program here in the city of Taft. So it's an option that was made available to them. We hear about it's predatory because there's no disclosures. In your packet, and also the email that I sent to you, it actually showed all of our disclosures. And I brought them with me so that I can show you. Page 1 of our disclosure actually goes into it, and it's a full truth in lending that is just like the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau's disclosures. Page 2 goes into I call it the scary numbers, where you actually have to show the cost of the financing over the entire term, okay? And then we have all of our different disclosures, where we actually go in and have homeowners on a live call with our online customer service rep actually doing an initial next to all of the different portions to be able to go over and make sure that disclosures are thorough to them. We actually do about a 20-minute confirmation call on every single transaction. So it doesn't matter what the contractor may have said in the house in order to get in the door and make their presentation. We make sure that we work with only the best of the best contractors, and we get rid of contractors that are not above board. So we get rid of those contractors, and they're not allowed to utilize PACE. With our program, we have 100% confirmed term calls where we actually engage with the homeowner, find out how the presentation went, what the different pricing matrix was, make sure that they're getting a good deal for what they actually are installing at their home. One of the other fallacies that we get from the real estate industry is that this is causing homeowners to be put into default. There have been zero out of 140,000 assessments in the state of California foreclosures that have been caused by a PACE provider. Zero. There's a state loss reserve fund that is in place to make sure that a lender that has to pay for that PACE portion would actually be made whole. There was a statement made about FHA and VA and the fact that they can't refinance. We see refinances in the perfect scenario, because realize that if you're buying my house and I actually utilize PACE as a buyer, you're probably going to tell me to pay it off, right? Because that's what I would say to someone. But in a perfect scenario, if I actually am selling my home to you and you say, yeah, you have solar on the rooftop, I'll go ahead and keep paying on that over time. If you have an FHA or a VA loan, they actually have guidance from 2016, July 19th of 2016, that says that they'll allow it to stay on. Allow. That doesn't mean it's mandatory. It just can stay on there. So there's a lot of different things that really I would love the opportunity to educate you thoroughly, or more thoroughly, about the PACE program, because there's so much. Like Kim Schaefer said, this is a very, very interesting item, and it's hard to grasp the whole item all in one meeting. But what I do want to leave you with is that this is state legislation that was made available, and it's an option that you've made available as a council to your homeowners. Taking away options is not really the type of thing that we like to do to our homeowners. This is a voluntary option. This doesn't put anyone in harm's way. The consumer has the ability to make this decision for themselves. And yes, because it's on the property tax bill, it does have a super priority lien status, but that means no difference than a HELOC or a second. At time of a refinance or a sale, you are most likely going to have to repay that loan. So it's being fiscally responsible and actually having to pay off your own debts is a reality, yes. And there have never been any foreclosures from a PACE provider because of the fact that since it is on the property tax bill, the county is not going to foreclose in the first 5 years. One more point. Jordan Kaufman's letter, I called him directly to ask him about those 59 instances, because I was dumbfounded that there were actually 59 instances out of the 4,200 PACE assessments in Kern County that had been done. that actually had entered into a PACE assessment when they were in default. And I said, so Jordan, how did that work? And he said, well, you wouldn't have known about it. They were really tiny assessments that were just, adjustments to people's bills. So this isn't as if someone had missed their property tax bill. They just had a adjustment that had been done to their bill, and that was not actually recorded to where we would even be able to pick it up. So I don't know that any of my properties that we financed had that scenario, but what I would say is that homeowners are not being put in harm's way. You've had 4 homeowners that have sold, 1 that's refinanced out of those 47 homeowners, and then you have 7 or 8 homeowners that took the time to actually write to us and say that they are happy with this. Please keep it as an option for their friends and family and neighbors. And I'm open for any questions that you may have.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, in keeping with, and you got a little extra minutes, so I could let you finish off that point so that it was clear to all the council members. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
All right, next up, Don Lanier.
Good evening. I'm Don Lanier. I work for Northwest Exteriors. I run a remodeling company out of Bakersfield. 5505 Cape Court, Bakersfield, 93312. We've been doing home improvement upgrades here in the city of Taft for probably a solid 12 years. When the HERO program came about in Taft, we did utilize, I think, our company has done 27 out of the 49 that are here in Taft. We've never had any complaints. A lot of the homeowners that have used the program here in Taft, it was just an option to them. Like Dustin said, we go when we sell the product, we sell the remodeling. When it comes to how are you going to pay it, we give them an option. As far as the price gouging that we've heard continually, we have one price. The price is what it is to do the project. The price doesn't come up, or the financing doesn't come up until the very end. We've already laid the price on the table. We ask them, how are you plan on paying for this if they decide to move forward with it? Like Dustin said, write a check, credit card, PACE program, HERO, White Green, Renew. Or we have Wells Fargo, GE Money Bank, unsecured lines of credits, which also has very high interest rates as well, stated income. So the one thing I like about the PACE programs, it does have very competitive rates, interest rates. And yes, it is true that you can go down to 2.99% interest rates for the HERO program. There's a lot of instances that a homeowner may not be able to qualify for a traditional loan because of maybe some medical issues. They have some hospital bills and they couldn't pay it. So their credit dropped maybe slightly below what they were able to finance. But they have have a history of making their their mortgage payments on time, their tax bills on time, so they do have a good history of being able to make their payments. And there's another thing that we don't take in, a lot of people don't take in consideration. Here in Taft, Bakersfield, extremely hot, very high energy bills. And when a customer's air conditioning goes out, say, in the middle of the summer, it's 105 degrees, and they don't qualify for, say, an unsecured line of credit, and their only option is maybe to go get a HELOC. They don't have time. They don't have 3 weeks to 6 weeks to see if they even qualify. They need that service right then and there, and HERO can provide that for them. They do a desktop appraisal, make sure they have enough equity in the home. They can get it done and be back to living comfortably in their home within a week, because we can do that service within a week. That's really, really important. It's a very viable option for these homeowners, and to take it away, it would be sad to take that option away from the homeowners. And I just want to leave it is an option. Okay, we don't press the PACE program. We give them an option. A lot of the homeowners that when we go out to an appointment, they've already been pre-approved. We don't even talk to them about HERO. They say, hey, we already got approved for the HERO. We heard a lot of good things. We did our research. This is the program that fits best for our needs. And so that's what they're able to finance their project with. As far as the consumer protection, I love HERO because it does have excellent consumer protections. The contractors, They have to maintain a good history. They have to be licensed, bonded, insured, workman's comp. They have to have a good history. They actually keep up on that and keep checking. And they've kicked out several of bad players in the past because they have come in and not done a good job. Talk about the excuse me, I lost my train of thought on that one. The consumer protections as far as the seniors being taken advantage of. Anybody that does this, that does a HERO loan, if they're over 65 years of age, there is extra steps with HERO to make sure that they're being taken care of, they're not being taken advantage of, and there's an additional set of questions and precautions that HERO does take on anybody over 65. So it's not, you're not taking advantage of anybody. Everything's up front, and if it's about personal responsibility when it comes to choosing what's best for yourself, not the government's responsibility. This is a private party, private person's choice, and it should be left like that. We should have an option. Another thing as far as consumer protection and protection for the community, in order for to do a project with the PACE programs, you have to comply to all the city ordinances and codes. Like, so for example, we do windows. As you guys know, the majority of homes here are very old and do not meet egress. In order for us to replace a dual pane energy efficient window, one has to meet minimum energy efficient standards. Can't just put any window on there. You have to meet egress codes. So we have to make sure that these homes are safe for the consumer. They have to meet egress and meet all the fire department codes. And then after the fact, when the job is done, HERO and the PACE programs, they do a follow-up call with the consumers to make sure everything is on the up and up. They did their job. They put in the correct the correct product that met all the ordinances and the Title 24 standards. And they just do a lot of good things. It's a really good program, and I'd really like for you guys to keep it around. And it also keeps jobs around. And you guys, more than anybody, should know about the jobs being lost to the oil field industry, and PACE has provided and generated a lot of jobs. Our company went from about 8 to 10 employees to 26 to 30 since the PACE program came about. And so it does create jobs, saves energy, and it makes your constituents a lot more energy efficient, saves them money, and makes them more comfortable in the home. I just ask you to dig in to more of the facts and not all the emotions, because if you deal into the facts lie on the PACE program. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Don.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you may. Yes, you may.
I have kind of two questions. How are you contacted, or how do people find out about you, or
about our company?
Yeah.
Many different ways.
Are you referred by anybody to a client?
No, we do our own marketing. So they either contact us via like an internet website, marketing tool, canvassing. We go door to door, telemarketing, newspaper ads, a lot of different referrals, and that's how we generate our business.
Okay, so you come to my door, I say, come on in, we sit down, you give me a price. How do I know that that price is competitive?
We educate you, for one, on the different quality levels, because just like with any product, there's different prices for different quality levels. And so we give you an education. We give you several different options from low, medium, high quality, and it's up to you to shop around. We encourage shop around, get 3 bids. We give an education.
Okay, so where does the PACE program come in on that part of the conversation once you say you put the price on the table?
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry.
Then you say, well, how are you going to pay for it? And then you throw out some options.
Yes, I ask them for their business, ask them if I can earn their business, and they say yes. And then I say, okay, well, how would you guys like to pay for this product or this project? And then they say either, well, we're going to put it on a credit card. Okay, we'll pay cash. What kind of financing options do you have? And then we Wells Fargo, GE, Hero, Whitegreen, the different types of options, and then let the customer, the homeowner, make that decision. Tell me more about the PACE program. Hey, I've heard about the Hero program, and tell me more about it. And then we pull up the whole portal, educate them throughout the whole process, how all the ins and outs about the program, and it's ultimately their decision.
So all these remodels that you did, you say you did 29 in the Taft
I think
area?
it's 27 or 29. Yes.
27 or
Yes.
whatever. Those were all PACE?
No, those are just the PACE programs that we've used. We've done thousands of. You can probably go to 80% of the streets in Taft, and you'll find at least 1 to 3 homes that we've done business with here in town.
And the name of your business again?
Northwest Exteriors.
Thank you. That's all I have.
All right. Any other questions before he sits down?
Not directly, nothing.
No? All right. I know
Thank
that
you.
Randy Emmett from Northwest Exteriors put his name on the list.
Thanks for the opportunity to address you guys today. My name is Randy Emmett. My address is 16012 Cafaro Court, 93314, Bakersfield. What I have to say kind of covers something I thought he should have said. I have a finance folder. It's a binder, and it has all the list of every possible way that you could pay for your project. I just lay it on the table. I open it up. It says, this interest rate for this company, this amount of terms, this is what your options are with 90 days, same as cash, 6 months, same as cash, whatever, and figure out what's best for the customer. They have every option to choose what they have or what they want. What I have found is that in most cases, the amount of dollars spent to the client, they always seem to go towards the PACE program loans because the interest rates are lower. They can extend it out for more time, making the payment more affordable, and virtually can more than likely afford the project when otherwise they might not be able to. I think that was your question, is how do they know which financing they're going to go with. But I just want to come up and say, I've been working in Taft for 25 years, from Bakersfield, but I've been coming up here doing this type of thing for that long before PACE was ever even heard of or thought of. I had over 500 customers myself in Taft. Okay, so this is not something where I'm a fly-by-night guy, and I've been working for Northwest Exteriors now for a very long time, decades. Okay. It's a very reputable company. They're not here to talk about that. I'm here to say that this is like watching Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump, sort of, with the realtors against the contractors, and this PACE program is the pawn in the middle. And it's garbage because I've talked to so many customers. Hey, what's happened? I went to 5 customers today who sold their houses that I put energy efficient products on already. Have you had any problem? No problem whatsoever. They were able to get right out of the loan. They were able to sell their houses without any delays. And I've asked every customer who's been butchered or badgered by realtors, I say, what's going on? The Hero loan, if they start complaining about it in any way, I say, who in your family is a realtor? How'd you know? Well, because I got 5 realtors in my family. And they saw the Facebook posts and all the stuff going on between these 2 entities, realtors versus contractors. And I'm telling you, PACE is the pawn, and it's garbage. Okay? They do what they say. The customer knows what they're getting into. They really do. I mean, it's a way that a lot of customers can get things that they couldn't get otherwise. And we're not out there pushing anything on anybody. And yes, maybe there are contractors that are, but I'll tell you this is a good thing for everybody to know. I'm in the house every single time a customer says yes. I have to sit there and watch them talk to Hero on the phone to verify the terms, to verify everything on the contract, and to watch over every single thing that happens. So this is with Whitegreen or any of them as well. And I went in
If I may, excuse me, I'm sorry to stop you, but you say you have to be in there. You as what? You as
I'm
a
the contractor.
superintendent? You as the contractor?
I'm the contractor, yes.
You're
So
the
the customer has said yes. They want to go with this financing, okay? And then the policy is to get our paperwork all filled out first. Okay, this is the order. This is what you want to get. Now, how do you want to pay for it? Okay? Now that we figure out that they want to use PACE, okay? So we sign them up on PACE. They sign right on the PACE. But before they can ever sign, they have to go through an extensive phone call with PACE where they are ID verified. Who are you? They got questions from their childhood that only they can answer. And then I'll just give you, this is to make this short and give you the Reader's Digest version. I'm in the house, customer verifies, the representative has to talk to the customer. Well, they talk to the customer, and then I get a phone call the next day. Well, the reason we need to talk to your customer and all these things. What it was is that the customer had 3 different sliding glass doors in their home, and they wanted to upgrade them to French doors. Well, those French doors are very expensive, and they picked a very high dollar French door. I didn't pick it. They picked from 20 different companies what doors they wanted. I had to buy them for them and put them in. But the price of those French doors was double what the sliders should have cost. Okay? Hero, or I believe it was Hero. Hero was the one that was going to finance that deal and did finance that deal, but they weren't going to finance it at that price because it was too high. They said, no way. Let me talk to the customer. They got the customer on the phone, not me. They didn't want to find out what the scope of the project was from me. They wanted to find out from the customer because they're not going to let us or anybody else overcharge a customer when something like this could happen. We can come in a meeting and we could all get, you know what I mean, lose our reputability or whatever. So all I'm saying is that the realtors have a lot to lose. Why? Okay, you want to go sell a house and you're a realtor, the first thing that's going to come up is this loan. They call it a super lien, right? Okay, well, it's not a super lien. It can be paid off. If you go to Wells Fargo and get a second or anything else, they all have to be paid off for you to sell your house. There is no difference. They're just trying to save themselves from having to do the extra steps. And they lost, maybe in Taft, what do we have, 29 customers, you said, or something like that? Okay, so there's 29 properties that they can't get their hooks into. But I just found 5 of those 29 that already sold. So come on, it's kind of like a falsity is what's happening. It's just not true. And I just say, I don't care because I've been here 25 years. I got so many customers. The majority of my customers, I have over 500 in Taft. That's 29 on PACE programs. That's not my business. My business isn't a finance company or protecting PACE. My business is in being a good contractor and doing good work. But I'm protecting them because the realtors, and I want a realtor's license, and I got 5 realtors in my family. I got nothing against them. But this is not true, what they're saying. This is not true. Okay? That's it.
All right, Randy. Thank you very much. Is there anybody that I have missed that wanted to address the council that was on this list? Everybody's had their 3, 4, 5, or 6 minutes. All right.
Do you rebuttal?
Can I come back and talk
As
as a homeowner?
a homeowner?
Yes. Not as a realtor.
Well, actually, I believe that you were only up here for about 3 minutes.
Yes.
Okay, so I will allow you 2 more, so you may come up here. As a homeowner.
I don't speak solely as a homeowner. But I do want to preface it by saying this is not about realtors and contractors.
Okay, I'm sorry, Midge, but just...
It's not. It's about the consumer. It's about the homeowner. And
I'm sorry,
a homeowner.
but for the record, just so that the clerk has your
I'm
name and
sorry.
address.
Midge Jimerson, 320. I'll give you my home address. 1921 Camino Primavera, Bakersfield, California, 93306.
Okay, now
I
then.
would go back and say it's not about the contractors and it's not about the realtors. Let's take that out of that and let's talk about the homeowner. Let's talk about who's really affected by the program. Let's talk about what happens when they come and knock on your door and they come to you and they tell you all these wonderful, wonderful things they will do for your house or your parents' house. And they will convince you that the best thing you can do is, if you can't afford it, I got a program for you. No money out of pocket. We got a program right here. And all it's going to do is later on, it'll just attach a little bit of money to your pay, to your tax bill. Where is that good for the consumer? Where does that help? Where does that help my neighbor when my neighbor goes to sell her house and my neighbor has a super lien on it and can't get out of it, and now in order to get out of her house has to pay. She has to pay out of pocket, and none of the money that she was going to use for her move out of state can be used now because somebody sold her a bill of goods. It's a predatory practice. As a homeowner, as a neighbor, I see this. I've seen it happen to my friends' parents. I've seen it happen to other people. It's not the contractors. We're all for the contractors. It's not for the realtors. It's for the homeowners and it's for the community, and it's detrimental. I'm trying not to talk as a realtor, I'm sorry.
No, I can see the emotion pouring forward, but just supply the information. Very good.
But we have to look what's good for the community. And when somebody's already in tax default and already having a problem paying their bill, and they can still do a PACE or HERO program on their house, that's bad. That's bad. And when your neighbor can't get out of her house, or she has to use money that she was going to move because she's now got this super lien and she can't get out of it and it has to be paid off first, and the buyer walked away from it. The buyer walks away from the transaction because they're not going to pay for it. And in order for her to get out of the house, she has to pay the difference because it cannot be financed. It's a problem. Thank you for letting me talk.
Okay, very good. Just a moment, we have a question. Hang on. Midge? I'm sorry that a council member would like to ask you a question.
I would like to ask some questions to different individuals, but I didn't know we were going to have a little discussion like this, but that's good. What to make it fair, because, I was one of the sponsors of having this in Taft, the PACE program, because I thought it was a good idea for the citizens here, and to make it happen. I tried to apply for it, and I had some issues with it, and that's my own personal stuff. But what can we do as a realtor and in California, as an association, to come up with a better program that's fair for the consumer and for the elderly?
Yeah, let me defer to Kim because she's a little bit more educated. She's our government affairs director, but I think it'd be better to defer to her on that question, but I'll stay right here with her.
To me, it's important to get this all out in the open. And
so there are several bills that are pending at the state level and also at the federal level. The legislation at the federal level, our national association fully supports. The California Association supports, etc. We're not seeing a whole lot of movement on that. The PACE folks generally, I think they have an official position of opposition. I'm not sure they've signed on to support that federal legislation. There are a few other bills. Like I said, at the state level, there's SB 242. And probably Dustin might need to speak about where that's at. As of a couple weeks ago, a lot of the consumer protections in that bill had been gutted. There has been some additional legislation that has been introduced that the California Association supports. I don't know if any of that's going to get done before the end of the session. So we're talking about next year. So I don't think that there's any more that can be done for right now.
Is there something you guys put together as an association in the state of California to present to some legislature to push it through?
Absolutely, and we have been expressing our concerns to our legislators. In fact, this year at our California Association at Legislative Day, we had thousands of realtors up there. We were talking with all of our members. Same thing in Washington D.C. We had 10,000 members that were back there, also supporting that federal legislation. I will say this too. I've been working a lot with Dustin from HERO. Not all of the companies have the same capabilities that HERO has. When we're talking to some of these contractors today, you keep hearing HERO, right? HERO. They have the largest market share. And I will say that they have put in their most voluntary safeguards. We talk all the time. We're trying to figure out how to solve some of these issues. These other companies, Y-Green, etc., they're not doing the same. They're night and day. So I just want to make sure you also understand that there's not a uniform standard anywhere. So, while I think I'm making some progress, like with companies like Hero and at the state and federal levels, it's not all the way across the board. So I think it's going to take some time to get there to be able to do what you're asking.
Okay. I think we had some questions for the other gentleman then. I'm sorry, I hope
Yeah. Did you want me to state some things about the legislation?
Hang
real
on,
quick?
guys. Let me make everything clear because everybody's running up here. Okay, first off, let me tell you this. I gave everybody 5 minutes or more to state your case. Okay, we were very patient about this. So now what we're going to do is if the council, any council member has a question specific to any individual, then they're going to ask that question and you will address that question. We are not going to go back and forth, rebuttal. That's not what's going to happen. Okay? So then.
Can I speak as a homeowner too? Because I'm also a PACE customer.
That's right.
I'm also a PACE customer. I like it.
Okay, if you would grab a seat, please. I'm not going to let this get out of hand.
Understood.
Okay, now you have a question for this man.
Yes. I have a few questions basically, but
yes, sir.
Would you allow an 84-year-old grandma or mom that kind of getting a little old and homes paid for and stuff? What's a safeguard for somebody like that has their home completely paid for, has the money in the bank, Social Security and stuff? They get talked into. They're kind of. That's a good idea to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Will they qualify?
That's very important to us. So we actually have elder care advisors that are on staff. So anytime someone, and I hate to say it, but anytime it's a protected class, so it's 65 and above, we actually send it into a secondary underwriting so that we actually make sure that they have the wherewithal to make that decision for themselves. And at a certain age, then we also do a next of kin verification because we want to make sure that the children of that individual understand what mom or dad are doing at the house. Mom or dad still have the right to do what they want to do, but we want to make sure that you as children have the ability to talk to mom and dad to let them know what's going on in that scenario. And likewise, we do the same for English as a second language. Okay. So we speak in Spanish and do Spanish documents. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. The other one is, what safeguards have you put in place, say, between the last 4 years to now? Because I can tell you a horror story about myself.
Yes.
That I went through, and I said, heck with it, But what safeguards have you put in there to? One is to prevent or weed out the contractors. Mm-hmm. And also, what other language you put in the contract that's different now than was before? Yeah,
so actually, the realtors and the PACE providers came together in the 2016 session through the Assembly and created AB 2693. That was a disclosure bill that mandated that all PACE providers have to have that type of disclosure that's like the CFPB, just like I presented those documents earlier to you. So all PACE providers by statute in California as of January 1st of 17 had to have a know before you owe type of disclosure. So that's changed over the last couple of years. Obviously went into effect January of 17, but we had it in effect mid-16. Then also other legislation that is being put into place, but we've already been implementing it, is SB 242, that is confirmed term calls, making sure that contractors have certain standards. And then also there is the Department of Business Oversight from the state of California under a bill that's in the session in the Assembly right now, AB 1284, that will create an oversight mechanism other than the joint power authorities that are governmental oversight for PACE as well. So there's a lot of changes that have happened. There's been a lot of great modifications. I think the best have been the disclosures, as well as making sure that that confirmation call is very thorough with the homeowner so that they understand all the terms of the contract.
Some people, I do a lot of business. I know a lot of the council members up here do a lot of business and stuff, and you sell things or go in a contract and stuff. A lot of times that some of the people are afraid to say no. True. They know they can't afford it, but they're afraid to tell the contractor, I really can't afford it in this. So they go ahead and say, I'm going to reduce your bill down from $300 a month to $100 or $50 on your bill. But they're going to spend $500 or $600 on the other hand, on the other side.
Yeah.
So Am I off base on that, or you get?
No, the way that we operate, though, one of the verifications under SB 242 that we're pushing for is income verification as well. So that's something that we've been implementing already in our program. Not all programs have done that yet, but we want to make sure that the homeowner has the ability to pay. I mean, it's very important to us that the homeowner has the ability to pay, has the ability to see what the energy efficiency of a product is, so that they know whether or not they're making a good choice for their home. Sometimes it's about their living conditions. You know, no one wants the old metal windows, and they want to have them replaced with new low E windows with triple pane or double pane or whatever, so that they have the ability to actually have quality of life, not just the offset of their electricity bill. But I mean, I replaced my HVAC system, and let me tell you, it made a huge difference on my bill, brought down my bill by a lot. Now,
Well, let me ask you a question.
Yeah, sure.
I'm understanding this. You know, when it's like buyer beware. I mean, if you own a home, you should know what the value of your home is.
Correct.
And if you're planning on moving, like in 4 years, you know, if you're going to get into a 20-year loan,
you shouldn't do it.
Well, that, or you don't do the project.
Right.
Because if you're doing the project, it should add value enough to the home
Correct.
to cover the costs that you're going to incur.
Absolutely.
So I'm not, maybe I don't understand this super loan. I understand it's in first place, and I don't know if I like that part.
Yeah, so
it should be in place like everybody else if they have other loans or whatever. I put solar on my home and did a second because you get the tax benefit of that. I didn't know about the HERO program and PACE program. I don't know if I would have done it anyway, but it was advantageous for us to do a second. But I figure, one, I'm staying where I am, and two, that the solar I put on the roof had enough value that if I sold the home, I would get that back in return, or I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. I mean, solar is going to offset.
I'm a little conflicted of the realtors and what you guys are saying, the same thing.
Well, solar is going to offset your bill, sir, council member, for sure.
But see, my solar bill is, my energy bill has come down.
Yeah.
But I'm still paying. For the solar.
That's correct.
So
but that break-even day is down the road somewhere in between 7 and 10 years.
In 7 years, I think we'll have it paid off, and then I'll be enjoying the benefit.
Right.
But if 2 years from now and I'm going to move, well, then I still got 2-year loan on that, and I got a second. I have to pay that second.
And
off.
that's the negotiation
Whether
that's
it's
so
in
painful.
first place, second place, fifth place, if I want to sell that home,
It's no different than
I got to pay it off.
Yeah, Councilman Miller, it's no different than a second.
Right.
It's a negotiation. At the time of the sale, the only difference is look at this as this is a possible assumable loan. So it's like a possible assumable loan. It's on the tax bill because that's how legislation created it, so that this could be on the property tax bill. But at time of the sale, or if you're moving from the home, it's going to be a negotiation between you and I, whether or not I want to pay for your continued bill, or if I want to just go ahead and have you, as the homeowner, pay off that bill because you decided to do solar on the home.
Well, if you got a set price, that should include that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't see that.
And we try to reach out to realtors to teach them how to advertise that, for sure.
If you got a $200,000 home and you added $10,000 of solar or windows or whatever you did to it, you should be knowing if you're going to sell that home, you should be get $215,000 for it, because you've added that value, and the closing costs, you should be able to pay that off.
And here in Kern County, I think the number is around $15,000 on average is what solar adds value-wise to homes, and that's a statistic. It's a statistic that actually one of the appraisers actually brought up at Bakersfield and City of Kern, that on average solar is adding about $15,000 to their value on their appraisals. So I know that there would be arguments from the realtors on that, but it's
Yeah,
stated.
we're getting into discussion mode. So did he
sorry.
answer your question, Councilman Moore? I believe you have a question.
I do. Sir, your company offers financing for these types of programs?
That's correct.
And you appear that, from what you presented, that your company is very proactive on the consumer's behalf.
Yes.
But that's not required.
It's not required. It's required on some things like the know before you owe forms and so forth. But we are over the top.
Let me finish.
Yes.
To the extent which your company operates.
Yes.
Is that required by statute?
No, not yet, but it's in the SB 242 going through the
Okay,
session.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, my next question for you, sir. You mentioned that there are no defaults. These types of programs don't have defaults. Is that correct?
Not that they don't have defaults.
That's what you said earlier. though.
There's no foreclosures.
Okay, so foreclosures don't happen
That's correct.
because of PACE programs.
That's correct.
Do PACE programs, or the financiers of PACE programs, benefit before lenders when in the event of a default on a home loan?
They get paid off at the same time.
Do you have a priority status as a lender?
Yes,
Okay, so the super lien is in fact real.
because the tax bill gets paid first. Yes, correct.
That's
the
I
tax
just want to
bill
make sure
gets
we're
paid
very
first.
clear on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which
So-
is what the other folks spoke to regarding the fact that
Absolutely.
that was a tax
Yeah,
bill.
the tax bill in a foreclosure would get paid first, but the state put forward a fund, a $10 million reserve fund, to make sure the mortgage company is reimbursed for that amount, and that fund has not been used to date
So
at all.
in the event that a
Yes.
home which PACE loan applies is foreclosed upon, you're going to get your money not from the foreclosure of the home, but from this fund at the state level. Is that what you're
No,
saying? Okay.
that goes to the mortgage company.
Okay, so the mortgage company's made whole. on that.
Mortgage company's made
So
whole,
they're at no
correct.
risk of loss.
What's that?
They're at no risk of loss.
That's correct. They are not.
Okay. Okay, that's all the questions I have.
All right.
One last question.
Sir.
You represent the PACE program.
I represent.
You're not the only guy out there.
No,
There
I
are other-
represent Renovate America, who is
you
a
are
PACE provider of the HERO
You are
program.
the lender. Is that
Yes,
right?
we are the lender. Yes.
How many other lenders are there in this program?
I think
We got
overall
2,000
you have
realtors.
4 that are authorized in your city, but I think there's 7 or 8 that are statewide.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Mayor Pro Tem Hill, did you have any question?
Well, actually, mine's more of a observation. I was in the car business for 30 years. When I started out as a finance manager, we did not have special financing. We just had the good stuff.
Yeah.
Then we found a need, and we started looking for ways of doing it, and banks popped up everywhere. Now there are a lot of very scrupulous and very good people out there in the car business that will do the very best by customers. However, there are so many ways to take advantage of a customer in the car business. I don't know anything about the real estate business, but I do know the car business. We have banks that will take advantage of people. We have car dealerships that will take advantage of people. We have salesmen. We have people that know how to go into every in and out, and they know how to prey on a person's emotion. I was extremely good at that. I knew how to walk in there and make people buy things they never needed. So I find this to be one more thing that it's not just you or the contractor or the person, but when you're sitting there telling me my house is going to be pretty and I really don't have the money, but man, here's a way to do it. I'm not looking at that small print. And I watched hundreds and hundreds of people sign papers for cars I knew they could not afford, but it was my job. So I do have a problem with this, because I know that there are people that are a lot more interested in what that window looks like and what that air conditioner does. And they don't care today how it's going to affect them tomorrow. And that beautiful piece of paper you showed us as a disclosure, it's not your job to sit there and say, by the way, it was my job to walk around that, and I was good at it. So I can guarantee you that there are people who are going to stand in front of somebody who has $40,000 worth of equity in their home and use every drop of it. And I'm not accusing any one group, but I understand how that works. And this kind of a program scares the hell out of me, because there's so many people that can't afford it are the people who are going to get screwed by it. And that's what realtors are upset about, and that's what homeowners come back and get upset. What you have to say probably is great. There's probably a great program. I used hundreds of great programs, but we also knew how to abuse those programs. And it was never on a guy that was smart or a guy that could afford it. It was always on a person that was like, yeah, a new car. So I do have a real problem with this, and I understand exactly what they're saying, because I really was on the end of doing this to people. So you can sit there and tell all of us all the good stuff, but there's always going to be a bad person that's going to take advantage of a person, and it's the person who's going to get screwed the hardest who needs it the least. And that's what I have a problem with.
I'm with
Sorry,
you.
I was wrong.
I'm with you 100%,
All right.
and that's why we really, really take what we do seriously in making sure that we do those confirmed term calls to make sure that there aren't bad actor
Who
contractors.
goes over those contracts with the people?
We do. We have a live operator on the line
But
on a
you're not
recorded
sitting
line.
there in front of them.
Well, we have them have the document up on their computer looking at it with us live. Absolutely, council member. Absolutely.
I'm surprised that's even legal. We had to do it in front of people. We had to have contact in front of the person.
Okay, do we have any other questions from the council for Dustin? No? All right. I'll tell you what. Sir, if you would just please sit down, please. Thank you. This, as so many of you out there have told us, is a very complex issue. This is not the first public hearing we've had on this issue. I must say, there's a much more lively discussion and a much broader group and representation than there was at the first public hearing. So it is my proposal for this council that we have another public hearing. We have a great deal of information in front of us now that we have not reviewed en masse prior to making this decision. I believe any new information that comes before this council needs to be considered from both sides. I have not had time to look through all of this. Taft is a small community. I'll tell everybody out there, everybody in this audience, it is not hard to talk to people in person. I tell the whole world I don't Facebook. I face-to-face. Do it all the time. That's what I love about the city of Taft. So finding these people, talking to these people, looking into all the information that was provided to us, and then coming back here, having a public hearing and making a decision, I don't think is going to be detrimental to the masses, the people that we represent. So then, it is my proposal that we table this item, we put it back on the agenda, have one final public hearing, and then make our decision based on having
Well,
gone through all
I would move to table this to the next council session, but I'd like to hear from staff. We haven't heard from staff. I don't know, would we hear from staff at the next meeting, or could we hear from staff tonight?
I think what Councilmember Miller is asking is if any impacts, positive or negative, regarding the administration of these types of programs. And then also, I think what Councilmember Mayor Nor was talking about was having other input from the folks who wrote these letters, right? Or the other folks who may not have good experience. It'd be nice to have those folks here as well.
I think staff would like an opportunity to read a lot of these things as well, so we're not really prepared to
Tonight?
give you a staff recommendation.
Then I wouldn't prepare to vote on this item tonight because I would like to hear from staff. Because you're the ones that are frontline, and you hear, the pros and cons, and we've got a lot of information. So again, I'll make a motion to table.
Mr. Mayor, before we go forward with the motion or any other motion, I think we need to formally close the public hearing, and then
Okay.
a motion can be made on whatever a member would like.
All right, thank you very much. Here we go. We got involved in all that, and I forgot about part of the procedure. So, I thank you. We have heard from everybody on this list. I want to thank everybody for coming forward and bringing this information. At this time, I will close the public hearing officially. Now then,
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to table item number 1 to a future council meeting.
Second.
I have a motion. Can I have a second? May we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Miller,
Yes.
Councilmember Cryer,
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hill,
Yes.
Mayor Nor.
Yes, that passes on
And,
5-0
Mr. Mayor,
vote.
one thing that we didn't hear tonight, we all know that the city of Bakersfield and Kern County did not renew the PACE program, and I would like to have some information on that, those reasons, at the next meeting, if we could, from staff.
Well, there's a great deal of news that came out about those things, so I shouldn't think that would be difficult to get a hold of. All right? Very good then. Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 2. If those of you who are here for all of this would like to quietly leave, I understand that. I'll give you a moment to do that, and then we'll move on with the business. Thank you very much. Good evening. Drive carefully. Okay. Item number 2 is citizens request public comments. I do believe we have covered this list. I see no need to read that. So we'll move on to item number 3, council statements. I'm going to begin with Mayor Pro Tem Hill this evening.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to remind people that school's in session. Parents are busy. They're not paying attention. They're trying to drop their kids off, and they're not always watching out for the other kids. So please keep your eyes open because there are children out there. We'd like to keep them alive.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you very much. Councilman Bryant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to ask one quick question and make it very, very clear to the public. I believe tomorrow the Planning Commission at their 6 p.m. normally, or their special meeting tomorrow, right? Okay. Well, I'll let Planning Director Staples get detailed. But at the end of the day, again, I would like to remind folks that the Planning Commission is going to discuss the what's the wording there?
Cannabis.
Thank you. I was going to try to use the other word, but they're going to be discussing the options available to the City of Taft. They're not making any decisions, but they will have a chance to review and take public comment. So if you have an opinion, unlike the folks who just want to do it on Facebook, please come on out, be heard, listen, become educated to see how we move forward in this regard. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Happy Labor Day, everyone.
Thank you very much. All right. Councilman Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In regards to the Councilman Hill, watch Kern Street, crossing Kern Street. That's those kids buried in their phones or whatever. They just see a crosswalk, they don't look, and away they go. We don't want any tragedies. So 315, that's when all those kids hit crossing Kern Street at all the different intersections. So be especially careful around that period of time. Unfortunately, in Taft, because of different laws that have come down and propositions that have been passed, our crime rate around, and especially shoplifting, seems to be on the rise. But there's a couple of, I know you're not Facebooking, but there's a couple of sites that are kind of dealing with that, and they're calling out these people, which I think is a good idea. I don't know how legal and liable and all that, but you know, when you got somebody on video and you can see who that is, whether it's from around a house or in a business, and that person's, you know, walking off with stuff, they should be called out. We have the 950 rule, meaning that anything of value of less than $950 is a cite and release, and it's misdemeanor, no longer a felony, and they're not going to, everybody thinks they should go to jail. Well, sorry, they're not going to jail, and they're going to turn around and do it again. One of the interesting things I noticed the other day, I walked into Gas Wars, this gas station there on 10th and Center, and when you walk in the door, they've just got pictures of people that you can see them where they're stuffing stuff down their, you know, their pants, or putting them in their purse and whatever. And I'm sure all the businesses in Taft are having just a huge problem with shoplifting, and so I think it's a good idea, and we're calling these people out, and hopefully, probably the embarrassment is not real deterrent for them, but it makes all the rest of us around aware that we see somebody and say, you know, you're a scumbag, you're stealing, you know, and you have not the right to do that. So anyway, I just want people to be aware, watch your stuff, lock your doors. You're going to have to invest into some security around your home, put lights up, especially we have an alley entrance, so they come around my back of my garage, they're going to get lit up and get photographed. So that's just where we've come. And to protect yourself, we got to do the neighborhood watch kind of thing, and you got to report it to police. I know they get calls out, but you got to run these people off, and you got to keep an eye out on your neighbors. Especially, it's kind of tough to be gone for a few days because you don't know what you're going to come back to. So I just want everybody to be aware of. The police department is as frustrated as anybody on dealing with these people, and it's not just homeless people that are committing these crimes. It's people that are living at home somewhere and they decide to get up that morning and go shoplift, or they've eyeballed something on your property and they're going to go steal it and drive off in a car. So that most homeless people don't have a car. So anyway, that's my little rant. Thank you.
All right, very good. All right, Councilman Cryer.
Thank you, Mayor. We had a little warm couple of weeks here, maybe a little more than that, but it's been pretty warm. But everybody's going to the coast, enjoying their time there, get away from the hot weather. But it sure does affect the businesses here in Taft, restaurant businesses, the stores and the shop. Too hot to work on their homes and stuff. But when things get a little cooler, don't forget to shop and keep your money here in our city, because that money goes around at least 7 times. For every dollar you spend, it helps generate $7 extra somewhere in our city. And a lot of businesses, they donate to the high schools and different civic organizations and stuff that do good for Taft. And if they don't get the business, they can't do the donating to help out. And a lot of them could go out of business, because a lot of them are on shaky grounds right now, and it don't take much for them to go under. So I'd like to urge for everybody to shop as much as they can, our local Kmart or local stores here, grocery stores, and our different other venues here, and go to the Fox Theater and enjoy a movie or two, because if we don't, we might lose that facility or two, watch a good movie. So I'd like to encourage everybody to spend an extra $10 or so and go to your favorite venue and have a good time. And money stays here and business stays open. That's all I have, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. I'd like to dovetail on what Councilman Miller was saying. Remember, everybody out there who is victimized by these types of acts. And I talked to another businessman locally, Randy, who owns a store, and some people just kind of sat outside in the vehicle and watched for a little while, get an idea of the traffic, then walked into the store and grabbed 2 30-packs like they were going to walk up and put it on the counter, and then smoked it right out the door into the vehicle, and all but. The cockroaches, the scumbags, know the rules. They know the rules. They know what they're going to get away with. But there are other rules that are still coming out of the legislature that's going to make it worse, for heaven's sakes. When you finally get somebody who commits a crime that is worthy of being arrested and they go to post bail, there's a movement, legislation pending, that says, well, you're picking on poor people. If they have to post bail then, and they can't afford to, then they have to spend the night in jail. So now they're talking about making it so poor people, and I don't know where that threshold is, won't have to post bail. So you won't even be able to have them. The guy that we caught stealing diesel fuel at our yard was facing 4 felonies. Posted bail, jumped bail, disappeared, gone. Fortunately, our PD caught up with that fool down south, and guess where he was then? In another stolen vehicle. Get out of town. Who'd have thought, huh? Career scumbag. They are out there, and what's going on in the state legislature is only going to exacerbate an existing condition. You as an individual are going to have to take a bigger hand in your own security and your own well-being. Talk to your neighbors, like Randy said, neighborhood watch, cooperate with the police department. They're doing everything they can, but the legislature is taking cuffs off of felons as fast as they can and putting handcuffs on law enforcement, and creating what I believe is the victim creation Bill of Rights for scumbags. That's what's going on in California right now, and it's coming from your legislature. There's no doubt about it. All right. So remember that when you go to the polls. The people who are in power right now created this mess. And that starts with demo and ends with crap, just in case you're curious. Next up, Planning Commission report.
Thank you, Mayor Noor. Mark Staples, Planning Director for the City of Taft. I don't mean to take the report from Commissioner Livingston, but August meeting, which happened 2 weeks ago, was our first one with our newly appointed commissioners. We seated Ms. Susan Banner as one of our new commissioners, and then Mr. Livingston was the other commissioner, but then right after that he was nominated as vice chair. So Chairman Orrin is continuing as the chairman, and Mr. Livingston is the vice chair. Also with that, we are considering changing our commission dates and times that Councilman Bryant brought up. We're going back to the first Wednesday of the month. And then an action, not to jump ahead, but tomorrow night's meeting will possibly move our meetings to an earlier time on those first Wednesdays. Probably about 4 p.m. is going to be our new commission date and time. The first Wednesday of each month, 4 p.m. starting in October. So they discussed it last meeting. They're going to act on it tomorrow night. Also discussed last meeting was probably the last of a series of presentations I made last month regarding Proposition 64 and the commercial cannabis activity that's been allowed by state law. And as was mentioned, tomorrow night we'll be looking at the first iterations of what an ordinance would look like. We're kind of taking the tact of the county, who's we're presenting two different ordinances. One that is banning all the commercial activity but allowing the personal use, and then one that has some allowance on the commercial side, primarily in industrial zones. So we went over that a bit as well at the presentation 2 weeks ago, but we have to draft ordinances to review tomorrow night. No action, collecting more comment now that we have some documents to review and comment on. It is a public meeting, so anybody from the public can join us and provide their input as well based on the draft ordinances. And then we'll come back in that first Wednesday in October with some final ones that will lead to a council decision in November. That concludes my report on the meeting, and I'll stay up for a department report right after this.
Okay.
Unless you have some questions.
I don't have a question so much as a statement, and actually Councilman Bryant talked about this. The state of California passed Prop 64. That was the cannabis law. It was passed by over 70% in the Bay Area. It was passed in LA County. It was passed in San Diego, in those areas. Kern County, California said no to marijuana. Kern County said no. 56 to
54
to 44%. The city of Taft said no with an even stronger voice. The city of Taft was about 58.5% to 41.5%. Had that been a presidential election, it would have been a landslide. It would have been massive. It would have been front page news. So you, the voters, the city of Taft, have already said no to marijuana. I heard what you said. However, because of what happened throughout the state, these ordinances have to be drafted and considered. It is still your government, your city, your voice, but you have to make it heard. I would suggest, at the invitation of the Planning Commission, sit and sips that we have had multiple times, outreach to the community that we have had, please be a part of this. You owe it to yourself, and you need to do the research, even though you've already said no. So take advantage of it.
Send comments for or against my way. Email, phone call, written letter.
Any other comments regarding this? Okay, very good then. Next up, department reports.
Just quickly, we were hoping to have a sit and sip meeting walkthrough a couple Wednesdays ago. That's actually happening tomorrow morning. So 9 a.m. we're going to the transit center to have a little walkthrough, whatever areas are safe that they're not working on. But we're getting pretty close to finishing that project up, and sit and sip wanted to get an inside view. So Black Hall Construction will walk us through and show everybody what's going on with the building.
I've walked through that building many, many times throughout the course of it. Matter of fact, I don't know that 2 days have gone by since its inception that I haven't been by there, and it's going to be something we can all be very, very proud of, and it will be owned by you, the taxpayers. It is your property, and it's something that you will be just as proud of as the monument, and really look forward to its completion. And congratulations to everybody involved regarding the architecture and the colors, and it's stunning. It really is. So really looking forward to that. All right, you gonna stay up here for city manager statements, or are we gonna let city manager statements?
Thank you, Mayor. I don't believe I have any.
All right. Okay. City attorney statement.
No statement, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thanks, sir. Future agenda requests from any of the council members? None? All right. Moving forward then, we have the consent calendar, items 9 through 13. All items listed on the consent calendar shall be considered routine and will be enacted by one roll call vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the City Council requests specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Any item removed from the consent calendar will be considered after regular business items. Are there any items on the consent calendar that any member of the public would like to comment on? Seeing none. We're talking about considering items. Item number 9, minutes of the August 15th regularly scheduled meeting. Item number 10, payment of bills. There's a lot of bills over $1 million worth. Item number 11, Planning Commission stipends. The recommendation is a motion to adopt a resolution entitled A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Taft, setting the stipend for planning commissioners at $50 per month if they attend at least one regular or special meeting each month and without additional compensation for committee meetings. Item number 12, it says equipment purchase for two 2017 Chevrolet Tahoes for the police department. It almost sounds like we're buying the Tahoes. We already bought the Tahoes. This is the equipment to outfit the Tahoes so they are ready for service.
If we can buy Tahoes for that price, let's buy 2 more.
Yeah, amen. You're looking at about $15,000 for the 2 vehicles to make them ready for the street.
Yeah, $15,000. I thought we should buy some more Tahoes.
But they're $19.99 Tahoes.
We buy those.
And finally, item number 13, American Planning Association's Community Planning Assistance Team, CPAT, community application for downtown Taft. The recommendation is a motion to approve the planning director to submit the community application to the American Planning Association for a community planning assistance team project for downtown Taft with a project budget not to exceed $12,000. Does any council member wish to remove any of these items from the consent calendar?
Item 13, please.
Item number 13. Any others? Hearing none, at this time I would entertain a motion to approve items number 9, 10, 11, and 12 on the consent calendar.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. May we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Miller,
Yes.
Councilmember Cryer,
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hill,
Yes.
Mayor Noor.
Yes, and that passed on a 5-0 vote. Thank you. Next up, item number 13, American Planning Association's APA Community Planning Assistance Team, CPAT, community application for downtown Taft. City Manager Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. At the April 11th and May 23rd Economic Development Ad Hoc Committee meeting, the members discussed and recommend the City Council and City staff move forward on updating the downtown Taft specific plan. The first step in moving forward with the update begins with a technical assistance project through the American Planning Association Community Planning Assistance Team. CPAT provides pro bono technical assistance by a team of experienced city planning professionals on a project outlined by a city or county agency. The APA does have an application and a selection process for each CTAP project. Planning Director has attended 2 conference sessions showcasing completed CPAT projects. The Director has also spoken directly with APA staff in Chicago about a potential project in downtown Taft. The project do not result in a final plan, but does provide the necessary research, data collection, and community workshops needed to produce a final plan. Attached is a CPAP community application and budget for the project. It's called Why Do We Need Another Plan? A Vision for Downtown Taft, California. The CPAT project team will assist the city in community workshops, surveys, and meetings with stakeholders to establish the vision forward for the downtown Taft. The community feedback, accumulated data, and initial architectural standards and color palettes will be the basis for future update and downtown specific plan. And I just want to commend Mark. He's put a lot of work in this application and kind of buttering those guys up, back there to get this done for us. So he's put a lot of work in this.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the planning director to submit the community application to the American Planning Association for a community planning assistance team project for downtown Taft with a project budget not to exceed $12,000.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Now then, Councilman Bryant, you asked that we remove this from the consent calendar.
Yes, sir. Thank you. City Manager Jones really took the words out of my mouth, but I wanted to take the opportunity as a city member on the ad hoc committee along with Mayor Pro Tem Hill. I'm sure she feels the same way. I definitely want to extend my thanks to Mark specifically for all the work, your staff, city staff including Craig, and all the the folks who have put a lot of effort, and don't forget the folks who sit on that committee, spending 1, 2, maybe 3 hours at a time, really finding ways to continue to drive a better, larger, more robust, and more prosperous economy here in the city of Taft. Anybody who thought in July of 2015 we had that first, or the first one in this go around, of economic development workshops, that we'd be sitting here 2 years later, we've made some progress. We haven't seen any new signs of buildings go up, but we're well on our way. And so I'm very, very excited to see this project come to fruition. And Mark, thank you for thinking outside of the box. It's things like this that need to be done, but we need to be as frugal as possible while not sacrificing quality. And I think this program, the CPAT program, will help us achieve that goal. So thank you, and I look forward to this moving forward.
Mayor Pro Tem Hill, you made the motion.
I second that.
Oh, you got on the flip side of that motion, didn't you?
Yeah, sorry.
All right, very good. No, thank you very much. And thank you, Mark, who does a stellar job and has actually been very, very involved in our transit center / community center, which, like I say, I continue to sing the praises. But if you walk through the middle of it and then you make that left-hand turn, I mean, the right-hand side, which is going to be the office side, is going to be very nice. But the community center side, it's breathtaking. You walk through that opening and you see those big, beautiful, hand-built, huge trusses and just the open area aspect, and you see the open story above it and all the light pouring through. I'm going to tell you, it's going to be breathtaking. So continue to look forward to the grand opening. So thanks for that as well. Okay, we have a motion and a second. May we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Miller.
Oh, I'm sorry. I beg your pardon.
I have a question. One we did at Shrine about two years ago. We spent $25,000. Had people from Fresno came out here and did that program. It took 6 months. What's the difference between this one here, and the one we had in Fresno came out there?
Thank you, Councilmember Cryer. That was specifically an economic development strategy, essentially something that the committee can utilize for moving forward on some other projects, but it was solely about finding strategies for business retention and attention, and then it provided some recommendations to focus on certain areas of economic development, pushing the tourism aspect, because we have some alternative tourism opportunities out here. It doesn't get down to what we want or don't want in the downtown area, color palettes, how it relates to the available land in the Rails to Trails area. That's what the CPAT should start doing, and then lead into a specific plan that addresses all those concerns various people have had of specifically what happens on Center, and then how does it relate to North, Main Street, Supply Row, and all that. The prior document that Fresno State helped us out with solely focused on economic development strategies and how to work better. The city could work better with the business industry that is here in Taft. It doesn't get down to the zoning, land use level type of strategies or goals to try to achieve. There's some things we could do on that side to help achieve some of those goals, but it doesn't really direct us towards a specific plan or other land use type document that this does.
So this put the application in, hopefully they'll come out here and do it. There's a chance they will come out here, or that's kind of a...
Well, that's where I'm going to have the more crunch time discussions with the folks in Chicago to make sure we do make this happen. What this is hoping to do is that a specific plan document can cost anywhere from $100,000 to $150,000 for probably the scale we're looking at, and this $12,000 is going to pay probably what we would have paid about $40,000 worth for the upfront research, review, meeting with us, having more public meetings to have a complete document. We're getting, if we're lucky enough to get this CPAT application okayed and they do this project for us, we'll save about $28,000 or more dollars in the overall specific plan budget that you've already approved in our budget for this year, and then what we're going to roll over into 18-19 next year. So it's a step one for that larger project.
Thank you.
Welcome.
All right. Any other questions before I... Okay. Thank you very much, Mark. Now then, we have a motion and a second. May we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Miller.
Yes.
Councilmember Cryer.
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hill?
Yes.
Mayor Noor?
Yes, and that approved on a 5-0 vote. Thank you very much, and thanks for bringing that forward so we can discuss that. Next up, item number 14, facility tour of a cannabis manufacturing and distribution center. City Manager Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. City staff has received an invitation from John Zimmerman of Macias, Genie, and O'Connell, LLP, also known as MGO. Mr. Zimmerman has previously worked with staff as an advisor in drafting cannabis ordinances. The invitation is extended to City Council staff offering a tour of cannabis manufacturing and distribution facilities. Tour has been scheduled for September 7th, 2017 by Mr. Zimmerman. Staff feels it's a good opportunity to better understand the impacts a large-scale cannabis manufacturing and distribution facility could have on the city. Tour will allow ample time for any questions council and staff may have. And
where is it and how long?
This will be an all-day trip because it's most likely going to be in the Coachella Valley, Riverside area, and it'll be probably a 7 a.m. leave and a 6 p.m. return time. But we may have an opportunity.
That's what Orchel does all the time.
Yeah, I made a business trip out of it.
we may have an opportunity to view 2 or 3 different types of facilities. So.
Okay. Well then, when you say we, so staff's going to go down there and we're looking for one, at the most,
yes,
2 members of the council.
2 members can go to the council. There will be 2 planning commissioners, Mark Staples, myself. We've extended out an invitation to the Chamber of Commerce. Kathy Orrin would like to attend from a business aspect. The police chief, not able to go, but he was invited as well. So.
Okay, well, council members, that is 2 days from now. So I don't know what y'all's calendars look like, but you're looking at the commitment of a full day to go down and view some cannabis facilities. I am not available. So unfortunately, that's kind of short notice, and I guess fortunately for me, I'm just way too busy at work, so that's a good thing.
Does anybody want to go?
I'd be interested.
Probably go. Make it.
I have to check with my social director first. I'll let you know first thing in the morning.
Are you going to be bringing back like goodie bags like from the League of California Cities?
No.
If so, I want you to take them by the chief's office before you take them home.
Mr. Mayor, I would just remind everyone, we can have up to 2.
Up to 2.
Council members. There
Right.
don't have to be 2, but we certainly cannot have any more.
Understood. Absolutely.
So,
That would be a Green Act violation.
You want to go too?
How do we propose to get down there?
Oh, it'll be city vehicles. Mark will be taking the city vehicle. I'll be taking city vehicle.
One of the little electric cars?
Well, after all,
I'll drive myself.
you're going to go green.
Literally. Mark's taking the leaf, but he's got to stop 3 ways.
At least it's
Charge.
I don't know if it's really within city policy to take the leaf to view Bud. Sounds like that could be some kind of a problem.
Man.
This goes on forever.
I like it.
Okay, so, Orchel, you are interested?
Yes.
You're voicing an interest. Are there any other council members that are interested? You're going to check and see?
Yeah.
Okay, so Randy would be our possible second.
Yeah, and if Randy can't go, I definitely would be interested.
Okay. All right, so there you go. We even have a alternate.
So you'll let us know tomorrow, then if you can't go, then
Or when I get home.
we'll even feed you. 'Cause you might be hungry.
Or get hungry.
Oh, man.
No sack lunches.
So we need to approve an expense for 2 big giant bags of Cheetos out of Capital Reserve.
Nachos.
Okay. All right. Well, it sounds like we got that one figured out, right?
We got a plan.
We got a plan. All right. Very good. Okay. That is the end of our regular session. We're going to go into closed session for excuse me, 4 items. Item A, conference with real property negotiator Craig Jones, City Manager, Government Code Section 54956.8, 725 San Emilio Street, 619 Woodrow Street, Taft, California 93268. Item B, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, Government Code Section 54956.9A, Taft Union High School versus the City of Taft. Item C, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, Government Code Section 54956.9A, Castillo. And then item D, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, Government Code Section 54956.9A, case number BCV-17-101990.
Mr. Mayor, if I might, I just want to make sure and ask if I can recuse myself from any sort of discussion regarding Taft Union High School.
Yes.
We can say that for last.
All right.
Just want to make
very
sure.
good. All right. Thank you very much for bringing that up. All right. We are now going into closed session.